In earlier demos, what we did is we've set up config manager distribution point to be a Pixie server. We've also had a look at some of the multicast settings. We've imported a computer object. We've modified the boot images and distributed the boot images. We've created a image.wim file and we've distributed that, and we've also created a task sequence. Now what we're going to do in this demo is we're now going to deploy that task sequence and then run that task sequence to deploy an operating system to a bare metal machine. So where we are currently is we're currently sitting in our config manager console. We're sitting in our software library workspace. We come to operating systems node and gone to task sequences. We have our deploy Windows 10 enterprise x64 evaluation task sequence. We're now going to right click at this point here and we're just going to deploy this task sequence. What it's going to do on the general page, it's asking me for a collection. So we have the task sequence itself. We're just going to browse through to the collection. And the collection we're going to go for, if we click OK at this point here, we're going to go for our datum production image. So we'll select OK at this point here, so we can see exactly the collection, the task sequence we're going to push out. We're not going to pre-download content for this task sequence. We're on a fairly speedy network, and I'm not going to actually specify any templates at this point here. Now what we'll do is we'll just select our next button. That brings us into our deployment settings. So what we're doing at this point here is what we can see up the top here, action will be install. Purpose, what we're going to do with the purpose is we'll just leave that as available. And then what we'll do under the make available for the following, we're going to click on the drop down. We've got only config manager clients, well it's a bare metal machine. We've got config manager clients, media and Pixie, again it's a bare metal machine. So what we're going to do at this point here is we're just going to go for only media and Pixie. Then what we'll do is we'll select our next button. On the schedule pane, I'm happy to make it available as soon as possible. On user experience, we will show the task sequence progress. We're not going to bother with any of the other options and select next. In the case of alerts, happy with the default, so we'll just select next again. And then for our distribution point settings at this point here, we're happy to download the content locally when needed by running the task sequence. So we'll select next. We'll read through the summary and select next. As you can see at this point here, everything has now gone through successfully, so we can select close. So at this point here, we've now pushed out our deploy Windows 10 Enterprise x64 evaluation. The next thing we need to do is run that task sequence to deploy the operating system against our bare metal machine. So we'll move over to the bare metal machine. And here we are on our bare metal machine. So what we're going to do at this point here is we're going to try to get it where we hit the F12 key, and hopefully we'll hit it in time. And then what we should see is it starting to boot into the network service. So as we can see at this point here, we need to choose the operating system. We will go for our Microsoft Windows PE, so we're happy with that. So we'll just hit F12. We can see it's loading the files up. So this is just going to take a little while, so we'll just pause the presentation at this point here until we get to the point where we start deploying the operating system. We're now at the point where we've loaded up the Windows PE image, so we're now in the task sequence wizard, so we'll just put in our password. Now we put in the password, we'll just select next. Yes, this is indeed the task sequence that we're going to run, so we'll select our next button again. As we can see now, it's now going away and it's now installing the operating system. Now this is going to take quite a few minutes to deploy this operating system. So what we'll do at this point here is, rather than sit and watch the operating system install, we'll pause the presentation and return back once the installation is complete. So as we can see, the computer's about to restart. So again, we'll just pause the presentation and return back once the computer restarts. So as we can see, we're now just coming into the network settings, so we'll just skip that for now. So it's now launching up all my profile settings at this point here. So what we'll do is we won't connect to a network just yet. But as we can see, it's now installing the operating system. The operating system has been deployed. And that's the end of this demonstration. Thank you.